So, how much deposit do you need to buy a house in the UK as a foreign national, someone that's here on a visa? It's quite common that you'll hear maybe you've spoken to a bank, read online, or spoken to a broker that you'll need 25% deposit to buy your first home here. Or sometimes people say you need kind of 3 years residency in the UK to buy your first home here. As a hard rule or a fixed rule, none of that is true. I help people all the time to buy their first home, even if they're on worker visas, spousal visas, etc., to do it with a 5 or a 10% deposit. So, really, the normal minimum for someone who's here on a visa is 5%. The thing to consider with that is, well, there's a couple. So, the first is the credit check is a lot harder to pass, especially if you've only been here 18 months, for example. It is a lot more difficult to pass a lender's credit check when you're only using a 5% deposit, and that's purely because the credit check, the credit scoring system that the lender uses just requires a higher or a higher score, shall I say, or a better overall profile. This becomes easier with a 10% deposit and plus. The other thing with a 5% deposit is that the interest rates are more expensive. So, although it can help you to get on the ladder faster, and for some people that might be the better option because it can be hard to save up deposit, especially if you're renting, the rates are higher. So, the monthly payments will be higher as well. So, that's just something to consider. For some people, getting on the ladder and then building into it is the much better option. For others, it might be worth waiting a few months to save up to 10% deposit, and then you can get some hopefully access to more lenders normally, which then normally gives us access to some of the cheaper lenders as well who are happy to lend to people on visas. The 10% deposit mark, as I've mentioned already, is the ideal mark to get to. Of course, the more you put in beyond this, potentially the cheaper the interest rates get. But really, interest rates only get cheaper in 5% increments. So you go from 5% deposit, the next cheapest kind of batch of rates would be with a 10% deposit, and the next 15%, and so on. So if you put 11% deposit, although your total mortgage amount will be lower and therefore the monthly payments would also be lower, the interest rate that you'll get will be no cheaper than the interest rate that you get with a 10% deposit. So really, to affect things massively, you have to get up to the next 5% increment. 10% is ideal because, as I've already said, it gives us access to more lenders, right? It's also ideal because the credit check's easier, as I've already mentioned, and then you get the cheaper rates as well. So it's a really good area to aim for, I would say. So if you've seen a property, you're looking at properties online and they're for 250,000, it can be good to aim for that £25,000 mark as the deposit. And then the other fees, I normally say, if you save 4,000, that would cover everything. So that 29,000 in total. With shared ownership, and I've made another video on this, there is one lender where it can be possible to use no deposit. And this is because they'll lend up to 100% of the share value. Um, Affordability can be difficult with this, especially because they only allow skilled worker visas currently. So they don't allow any spousal or dependent visas. So if there's two people, and a lot of my clients are this situation, unfortunately, it's skilled worker visa and then a spousal or dependent visa will be the husband or the wife. They wouldn't allow that, unfortunately. So they would only allow the skilled worker visa to apply. One thing you can do to speed up the process of getting your deposit together is, if you're interested in new build properties, there are quite a lot of new build developers that might be able to give deposit incentives. So, just to give you an example, you could put forward 5%, the developer puts forward another 5%, and then the total deposit that you have is 10%. So that can really help get the access to more lenders, the cheaper lenders, and kind of push you forward faster when buying a new build property. Gifts from family are also perfectly allowable. So if you might have some funds being gifted to you from a family member, that can be great. Some lenders allow gifts from friends, but most don't. So it's ideal that we wouldn't rely on that. And if you are thinking about that, it's important to get a good understanding of what the options would be. Now, the ideal source of your deposit would just be savings built up in the UK. You can have savings that have been built up from outside of the UK. So if you've brought money over here or you've sold a property abroad and you're bringing the money over here, that can be fine. It's just we need to make sure that we've got the right proof of that So making sure that you've got your documentation together when going into this process will be really key. That's basically it when it comes to the deposit. What do you think? Have you got any questions? Do you think you'd use a 5% deposit? Do you think you'd use a 10% deposit? Let me know in the comments section below. If you've got any other questions on this, again, pop them in the comments section. More than happy to help and answer them. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. It really helps me to continue to bring this useful content, or hopefully useful content, to you. And also, if you did enjoy this one, I've got another video I know you'll love. So I'm going to pop it somewhere here on the screen. It's called Everything That You Need to Know to Buy Your First Home in the UK as a Foreign National. It's a comprehensive guide. It breaks things down step by step, so you know exactly what you need to do to get yourself ready to buy in the UK. If you are ready, you want to start viewing properties and you've got your deposit together, you can book a call in directly with me. There is a link in my YouTube bio. It's also in my Instagram bio. My Instagram is Ripley Salguero. So if you've got everything together, you're ready to buy, you want to go ahead, but you're not sure how, book in a call with me. We can see if we're a good fit to work together, and then hopefully help you to move forward. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.